Hey traders, Raghee here, and these are the three sectors that I'm going to have my eye on next week. Now, as we are going into, I'm going to bring up the IYT first. So as we're going into next week, the idea here is as long as the broader averages, mostly the Dow and S&P, are in this volume weighted average price vice grip. They're literally being crushed right now by these two VWAPs that I anchor on all my daily time frames. We're going to see this chop persist. I'm still going to stick with the longs and the Russells that we talked about in a previous video this week, and I'm switching now to a bearish bias, specifically on the NASDAQ. The trick about the bearish bias on the NASDAQ is because tech is so heavily weighted, it could start to drag the S&P first and then the Dow second with it, the weakness. So what we can do to accommodate, to really not even accommodate, to navigate around that issue is find the individual sectors within these broader indices, index sector stock, right, that I can focus on to the long side. And one of my favorites is actually the IYT. The second favorite is the SMH, and third favorite is the XLY. They're all double green sectors, so I don't want to say first, second, and third in terms of that's the ranking. I like all three of them. So next week, I'm going to prioritize the uptrends in the broader averages and the uptrends in the individual stocks within them. And these are daily time frame, overnight, trend following. You can call them swing trades if you'd like. The idea here is that uptrends are always going to be the most predictable. The probability of the type of uptrending strategies working well in a double green is far, far higher. So I'm prioritizing those. This is the IYT, where you can see our outperformance is the broader. So this is the tide, if you will, and here are the individual boats. What do I like the best? The overall tide, the IYT, FedEx, UPS, Expeditors, and Ryder. Let's go to my second favorite, and that is the second on the list, the SMH, the semiconductors. So now when I take a look at the SMH, and by the way, I will do this same analysis across all these ETF curated. Remember this, I don't think there's really been less importance ever in sort of picking individual symbols that you want to look at as a watch. In other words, these curated watch lists, because the market's really pre-curating them for you, right? Most of what we're seeing is purely a play on the flow within these ETFs because of the massive amount of volume that they command. So the market's already given you a watch list. Your job is to then go get a little bit more granular and find out what's working within the sectors of the broader averages and within the stocks of each, right? So here's another example: semiconductors, double green, TSM, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's come back on, QCOM, AVGO, Texas Instruments, MU, and I'll keep a really close eye on LRCX to see if it can go double green, but it's not there yet. So again, relative outperformance within a relative outperforming sector. That brings me then to, this one's been a favorite throughout the month of October, and that's been consumer discretionary. So IYT is a little bit more Dow sensitive. It's going to be more related to the Dow YM. I've got SMH, which is definitely tethered to the NASDAQ. It's just a relative outperforming aspect of the NASDAQ. And then XLY, consumer discretionary, is a heavily weighted part of the NASDAQ as well. It's an outperforming part of the NAS. It's behaving better than the broader index. So index sector stock leads me to this index, the XLY stock. McDonald's, Nike, these have outperformed throughout October. They're not sexy, but they're ones that we've talked about a lot in the options in the futures room. Lowe's, Starbucks, Target, Dollar General. All right, keep an eye on those names. Double green, the 8 over 13, 13 over 21, 21 over 34. And so this is where, if I'm looking for high probability trend following plays, I want to stay bullish. Again, why do I look for this particular pattern, uptrending with the double green? Because they're the most predictable. Uptrends happen to be the most predictable. So this is what I'm looking at for next week. Hope that helps. I'll see you on Monday.